start off by just each person just telling a little bit about yourself and just what you're doing, and just tell us about yourself as a way to get things started off. And I'll start. I mean, everybody knows me, but I'm I'm standing in, as a facilitator on this, but I'm just of an older generation. I'm really looking forward to hearing about the younger generation and some of the trials and tribulations that you have, and what you plan on, sharing with the next generation, and give me some insight as well. So we'll
All
just
right.
go from there.
All right. Well, I guess for those who don't know, my name is Vincent. I'm a barber. I live in Columbus, Ohio. Uh, a new father. Uh, I got a family of dogs, so it's me, my girlfriend, my son, my dogs. Um, for the most part, man, I've been cutting hair for a long time, so probably more than half of my life now. So I mean, that's pretty much what I do. I'm a barber through and through. So I spend a lot of my time just with that, and taking care of my dogs right now is probably pretty much uh pretty much what I do on a daily basis. Uh, well, I was previously an owner. Now I work with a friend now.
Should I go now? Nice to meet you, Vincent.
You too.
Um, Leon Livingston, Chicago, born and raised. I graduated Morehouse College, business finance. I currently do business strategy for a cloud infrastructure company called NetApp. Essentially, the goal of what I do every day is essentially strategize around how we can go from $0 to $1 million, a million to five, and so forth, right? How we go from 0 to 100. Essentially, I guess my job title, which I'll bring in, it's a collaborative effort, bring a lot of people together in order for us to reach a goal. Um, Outside of that, I recently purchased a property in Chicago, 2-unit building. Doing house hacking right now. Um, in the process of getting some other business endeavors off the ground. Um, I have support. I have a scholarship organization that I'm still actively a part of. Um, Active mentor, active mentee. um, yeah, that's me. Me in a nutshell. Scott, you're on mute.
There we go. That might help. So, a couple of things. You know, it seems as if you both have an entrepreneurial spirit in you both. I mean, but I want to get there. But if you could just tell me what inspired you, or who was the person that kind of inspired you, or you looked up to as you were coming up and planning your path and going into your current field.
Me, or you talking at me or
Both,
Vincent? Was
both.
it
Yeah, I want
one?
to hear
Okay.
both.
Uh, I would say a lot of different inspirations. Um, I would say just growing up and getting to cutting hair. I feel like I know what I wanted to do pretty early, so I was kind of inspired by other barbers, or um, maybe even like the lack of opportunity or where I came from. Like not many things to do unless you went to school or had a degree. So that was something that I was always passionate about, and over time I was able to go to school and get my life turn it into a career, not just like a side. Um, I would say other inspirations is like you guys, like family, having family that's going through different things, and everybody has a different walk of life, but we all kind of had goals, and being able to see people in your family have goals, and then still being able to take your own path, but still aspire to do similar things. I would say that's a big inspiration.
Yeah, for me, I would say similar to Vincent, environment was definitely a key motivator and influencer for me wanting more. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, Harold Icky projects, and just that environment and family structure definitely pushed me to want more. But I feel like I've had like mentors at very pivotal times in my life that helped direct and guide me. I would say as a kid, able to look up to my grandmother and my grandmother and my grandfather. I actually was just I was in the mix of writing a poem for another presentation I have to do for one of my mentors, and I wrote a line about my grandmother and my grandfather, and it goes, my grandmother molded me with hands. My grandmother molded me with hands covered with Vaseline and prayer. My grandfather gave me the gift of gab and showed me the difference between being real and being rare. And I say these things to say because as a kid, right, like my grandmother grounded me in church, right, showed me the importance of grace and mercy of God, and she gave me a lot of responsibility as a kid. So like I was the one, first of the month, 15th of the month, here's all the codes and everything to the bank, right? Go take that check to pay the electricity bill. Go take that check to pay the rent. Balancing those things, and then my grandfather, he always kept me with him as I was a kid, showing me like what does it look like to be a man, to be a provider, being responsible. So I got that as a kid a lot. And then when from an educational standpoint, I was blessed with mentors throughout my education through middle school, high school, and even on the collegiate level, where there were men who helped guide me and helped me pivot from a lot of the things I had no business doing when I was outside outside in Chicago. So they've been very pivotal. Introduced me to I'm a part of a Greek fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity Incorporated, right? Like they helped introduce me into that space, introducing me into Marcus Garvey, W.B. Du Bois, the talented 10th, right? Like all of these things, right, help shape my mind, and watching them actually, practice what they preach, right? Like doing that consistently. And then once I entered into the workforce, I was very fortunate that a lot of my fraternity brothers who they essentially like played a lot of like Paul Revere type of roles in my life, where they'll say, hey, go try that out, right? In this space, think about this, right? So they helped give me increase my exposure into like the corporate America space, and being able to watch them and learn from them have helped me, in my opinion, kind of like get ahead in corporate America, maneuver more efficiently than they did, and also help me better compete, right, with my peers, and giving me a lot of opportunities that I'm very blessed and fortunate to have. But I know outright that, like I'm ahead of, if I had to streamline where you're supposed to be on the corporate ladder, I know that I'm ahead of that space, literally because of their guidance. You're on mute, Scott.
Yeah, you both mentioned that that the environment that you grew up in and the family was important and kind of inspiring you to in the direction that you're going in. So that kind of leads into the me asking, what role do you currently play in your community now? And Vincent, in particular, when I was coming up, the barbershop was where you got that second education. That's where you were around other black men who kind of wasn't your dad, may have not been your uncle, but you saw how they that was it. That was the neighborhood getting together at the barbershop. And I think that dynamic with COVID and things like that have changed, and appointments and time is money, that's changed. So, and you mentioned some mentorship being in fraternity life, Leon. How are you guys? What role are you playing in the community outside of your household now?
Uh, I think this is the barbershop as a whole. I would say plays a bigger role than just like an individual will play. Yeah, you can influence individual lives, but as a barbershop as a group, I feel like you got the ability to influence more, and it's more powerful because it's more people, right? So I think the barbershop itself is super influential in the community, just because, like you said, being a young person, being able to come to the barbershop, get some game from somebody else other than your dad has been telling you the same thing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But you hear it from somebody else, and you might register a little bit different. So we and that's something I'm proud of, being in the group that I'm in right now, because it's a super tight knit group. It's more like family inside the barbershop, so we can play off each other, and you know what I'm saying, we communicate with each other's clients. So it's a real tight knit group. Another thing that we do is just last weekend we did cops and barbers. So that's a program where you get back to school haircuts for free at
Okay.
the local recreational center. The person that I worked with this year to do that has been doing it the last 6 years, and you know that's a I got to experience exactly how that can help out the youth in the community, as far as them seeing somebody that looks like them out there doing something positive, make kind of reinforce the fact that everything ain't bad, or saying
Mhm.
every situation it's ways to do other things other than what we see every day, unfortunately, in those kind of lower income situations. So I
Mhm.
feel like that's the way that I can influence the community.
Right on.
Hey, funny enough, Vincent, I would actually say that, right, like, even as an adult, right, like I'm 28 years old, like I still like have like intimate conversations, like right with my barber, right, from like my youth barber in Chicago. I come home and he's not like my primary barber anymore, but I'll get in a chair with him and he's still like dropping gems on me now, right? Like helping, like, yo, man, you thought about this yet, right? Like, or just checking in, right? Those check-ins with other males are definitely pivotal.
Yeah. I would say also, being in a barbershop, you get a lot of opportunity to network with people from a lot of different situations and a lot of different careers. Like a lot of stuff intertwined in some ways, and you would never meet those people if you weren't at the barbershop. So I think that's another way that the barbershop kind of curates business within our community. You know what I'm saying?
It's been a while.
I feel you. Look, I don't even cut my hair. I cut everybody else here. I don't cut my hair.
I know.
um, yeah, so on my end of it, you asked me a question. So I'll look at this two ways. From a fraternity standpoint, right? Like we have like national programs with Alpha geared towards uh, multiple things in the community. One geared towards voting. We have one geared towards supporting high school students going from getting from high school to college, right? We have a Brothers Keeper program, right? It really depends, right? Project Alpha, like they're like our four national programs that we have. So the fraternity does that nationally, and so those are there. Me specifically, right? Like I've taken different angles to right the way in which like I do mentorship. What I've been specific towards that's been supporting me is how can I be that same lane to people in corporate America that happened for me, right? So like as I reach new pinnacles or whatnot in my career, I'm always gaining 2 to 3 more mentees, right? Supporting them with various things, right? How do you have these tough conversations? How do you set a roadmap up in corporate America aimed towards, right, whatever your interests are, right? How do you think through trying to entrepreneurship, right, while also being in corporate America? How do you have conversations about negotiating pay, right? How do you win in interviews? What does persuasion look like? What does reading a room looks like, right? How do you think ahead, right? Like, what's the difference between? I always try to teach these three things. I always actually start my mentorship when I start working with someone. I say these are three things that we're going to do. I'm going to, first of all, right, we're going to learn how to build relationships, not network, but relationship building. I think that's a whole separate different skill. Two, after I teach you how to build relationships, then we're going to learn how to think ahead, right? What does that look like from a career standpoint? But most importantly, from a foundation standpoint, we need to teach you the art of storytelling, right? How do you tell someone where have you been, where you are now, where you want to go, how they can help you, and how you can help them, right? Those three foundational skills really is like the foundation of me working with any of my mentees. That's my normal engagement. Outside of that, it's just more so me piggybacking off something maybe one of my other friends are doing, joining or donating here and those type of things.
Well,
So corporate America is really my stomping grounds for supporting our community.
that's kind of similar to something I was told one time. Guy told me, he's like, make sure you get your elevator speech together. He's like, if you bump into somebody
Right.
that you need to, connect with, and you're on an elevator, you got so much time, be able to get it out. Those, here's what I do, here's what I can't do for you, kind of thing, before he gets off that elevator.
Exactly.
But with that said, if both of you all look back and think about when you were growing up, what is one thing that you wish you knew growing up? Just that one thing.
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough question. Kind of. I mean, I guess it's so many things. But one thing that I wish I knew growing up that I knew now, I don't, I don't know. I want to let you answer the question first, and then I'll come back after you.
All right. I'm just trying to think it through right now. I would tell you the thing that has always been, I guess, like every time after like I think like I have like a successful moment, I always be like, man, I could have done that sooner, right? I think that like that whole, I won't say procrastination mindset or the imposter syndrome or the idea of, right, like I have to build myself up or certain things need to happen before I can enter into that space, right? So I guess to sum it up, I wish that I knew the value of starting now and just going and figuring things out, right? Then I wish I'd known that earlier. I think like a lot of significant things that happened in my life, for instance, let's just say like this property thing, right? Courtney can tell you from basically since the day we met, I kept telling her like, man, I want to get into this real estate stuff, right? Like, and that was a while ago now, right? So it's like, I should have been pulled this trigger, right? Those type of things, right? I think the value of now, I actually like, that's one of the things I preach to my nieces and nephews all the time. I would just spend some time with my nephew. He was here for the summer, and I was just telling him like, look, man, you into fashion? Let's do that right now. Like, you don't like college fashion out, like those things don't have to necessarily like be together. We can start that right now. You want to be a mechanic or you want to go into the automotive industry, I can pair you up with someone today so you can start learning that. You don't have to take this specific route or anything. So I guess like if I could go back to my younger self, I would tell them the importance of starting now. And yeah, I'll just say like, just do it, go for it. Like release your fears. It'll all work out for you.
Yeah, I think thinking about it, I think the younger me, I wish I would have known more about uh, saving and credit, just like how money works. I think if I would have known that a little bit younger and figured that out a little bit younger, even though I think I figured out at a decent time, uh, if I would have known it a little bit younger, just how money works and how saving and the concept and strategy of making money with other people's money, I think that's something that I wish I would have picked up on a little earlier than I did.
Yeah, that's fair. You on mute, Scott.
Gotta remember to take myself off mute. Yeah, I gotta. I have to agree with you all that that procrastination or feeling as if you need to, everything has to be perfectly aligned before you jump into something is one of the things that I reflect back on as well. And one of the things I try to show my son this day is do not fall into the credit trap. Because when I got my first credit card, it was an American Express, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And I bought a Gucci watch. I was flashed. But, yeah, it's just, not thinking about money, using money to make money, and understanding credit is huge. So I definitely understand where both of you coming from on that. We'll move on to next question here. And I'm going to skip around a little bit. I just want to know if it has impacted you, and if so, how do you navigate around black male stereotypes or people trying to put you in a bucket based on who they think you are before they get to know who you are?
Yeah, I feel like I deal with that pretty often. I would say just every day, just based off your appearance, or people not understanding. I don't know. I've got you're just a barber type of thing. That type of vibe from people like like what else do you do? Like I don't do nothing else. I just cut hair, bro. You know what I mean? Like I've definitely got that before. Just the whole. I mean, especially here in Ohio, because it's definitely a lot here. People definitely get the stereotypes, but as far as like, I guess I don't have to answer as far as dealing with it, but I've definitely experienced that in my field, just being a barber.
Yeah, I guess like I guess it's the stereotype of it depends on what environment I'm in, right? If I'm in corporate America, right, it's who's this young black dude here, right? Like who is he? Or what does he know, right? What school did he go to? What's that small college? Like I never heard of Morehouse, right? Like we've been big in recent news lately, but right, like who is that guy, right? Or the like even like growing up, like I was outside, like when I was outside in the hood, right? Like so I have I'm in the mix and things like that, but even still though, like the fact that like my peers see me in like this elite people I grew up with put like this elite stereotype on me, like, oh, he went to college, he's the smartest one here, and in my mind I'm like, no, I'm not, right? Like that's very relative. You get what I'm saying, right? Like so. Like even those type of things, or even family stereotyping you, right? Of first generation, right? Those type of things, the stereotypes that come with that. I think that the way that I deal with them is it depends on the person, right? In corporate America, I gotta attack it head on, right, and say, okay, well, I see what you think of me here, right? Now I have to show you. Right, that like I'm actually way more than that, right? I'm probably am what you think I am, but way more than that too, right? And then when I'm dealing with people of my community and my family, I engage with humility, right? Like I come in my most humble, vulnerable self, right? And say like, look, man, like this is ours, right? This degree belongs to us, or like my brain belongs to us, right? Those type of things, and I try to always like lead with empathy and come with my humble self when I think that someone's putting me on a pedestal. But when I think someone is trying to, look at that pedestal on the other way and I'm on the downside of it, right? Now it's I gotta go LeBron James, Michael Jordan, right? Like I gotta bring out the most elite version of myself and go crazy, right? Like I leave no questions.
Okay. That kind of I'd like to know now, where do you see yourselves in your career in the next couple of years? Or where do you want to
Next 2
position
years?
yourself in the next couple of years?
Like the next 2 years? 2 years?
Yep.
Yeah, man. Next 2 years, I'm trying to, from a career standpoint, pivoting to the next 2 years, I should be trying to pivot into more of a senior level role at the company. Right now, I guess I'm like mid management. For the next couple of years, I'll be looking for companies that's gonna put me at like one of those early, maybe like a director role, maybe in corporate America or something. I'll be looking for, or I'll be pivoting to venture capital. It's into that venture capital space. To be honest with you, to be straightforward, like I don't really have career aspirations, right? Like I never say like, oh, I want to be the president of somebody else's company, right? Corporate America was just more so a primary way for me to get money, right? I think more so what's important for me is what I'm doing with my resources I'm getting from corporate America and how I'm building myself as an individual, because I don't like the dependency on corporate America, right? So next couple of years, I will, right, be replicating my income with secondary like entrepreneur endeavors, right? Like that's the goal. It's more so trying to not even replicate my income, more so align my secondary income with my expenses, my daily expenses, right? To get out the whole rat race mentality. Right? That's more so important to me than accelerating my career. Like, I think that happens naturally just by showing up, handling your business, and right, taking those skills that I told you that I'm teaching to the youth, right, and navigating in that space. But it's not important to me.
All right, sorry, I'll try to real quick. As far as my career, where I see my career going, I guess my goal right now is not necessarily. I don't really want to go back into barbershop ownership as of right now. I'm thinking more like I'm in the process of cutting my hours down and increasing my prices. Is where I'm at as far as my career. Just so I can get more time at home to take care of the things I'm taking care of here, and then maintain my income, and then in turn put that money into other things that get me money besides the barber. Because it's only I feel like cutting hair kind of got an expiration date. Like you can do it forever, but you kind of can't do it forever. You know what I mean? Like eventually, you're gonna be tired of standing up all day. And I guess that's kind of where barbershop ownership comes in at. And maybe I'll try that again. But for right now, I'm more focused on trying to kind of optimize my day so I can get the most time out of my day and still get the income to put the resources in the things that I need to keep going forward, pretty much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This really kind of. So we've talked about where you guys are, what you're doing for the community, where you see yourself in the future, what inspired you in your path, and what you wish you knew. And this one here, question is, what advice or what pearl of wisdom would you give to the young black male that's going down this path that you've already traveled, and especially with you, Vincent. What knowledge you gonna put in Cam's ear?
I guess what I would tell a young person is try to figure out what it is that you actually like to do. I mean, I guess it's kind of like cliche a little bit, like whatever it is that you like to do that. So you won't feel like you working super hard for somebody else and not being able to enjoy the things that you're working hard for. So that's probably the main thing I would tell a young person is figure out what it is that you like, and then figure out how to monetize what you like.
Yeah, I was telling him to dream bigger. Like I'm always like I've been reading this book right here, actually, like the 10x rule, right, by Grant Cardone, and it's all about right, like just maximizing and just like 10x and whatever you're thinking about, right. So it's like at one point I was like, oh, like man, I want $100 million, and I was just like, forget that. I want to be a billionaire now. How do I do that? How like I know it sounds wild. Like I talk like this to my family, and they look at me like, "You're good now." No, I want $1 billion, right? And then I would tell them, don't only just dream bigger, right? But like multiply the effort that it's gonna take to get there. Like be real with yourself, right? Like dream bigger, but don't let your dreams be bigger than the effort that you're willing to put in. Right? It's like go hard, right? And make sure that you think that it's gonna require a lot from you, but do it anyway. Right? And because that's what fulfillment is gonna look like. As Vincent said, once you find your interest and your passion, it's all about scaling it and multiplying it out, in my opinion. Right? Like I just want to go big with everything. So I'm just gonna keep telling everybody around me, go do it. Whatever it is you're interested in, go do the next thing too, and then go do 3 things after that. Right? If you got 5 interests, don't limit yourself to one. Space them out over time. You can do it all over time. Right? Just go big on the first one, then you maneuver to the next one. Right? So yeah, go big and make sure that effort aligns with where you want to go, and be true to that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's powerful. I know when I was first went to college, I'll just share this with you. They were like, go to college. I was like, and study what? They were like, I mean, literally business. And I didn't know what that meant. It was just like, go and study business. And I'm looking for a course that says business, but there's marketing, there's finance, there's accounting, there's all these other things. I was literally like, all right, I'm gonna go in here and guess I'll have a suitcase and a tie, but it didn't really know what it was. But a couple of things that you said that resonated with me, and is find out what you like to do, and then go big with it. And one thing I know what's changed with me is I used to have really strong career aspirations. Now my only goal is to be happy. And those two are not necessarily the same. So, right on. I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Scott. Like that's the same thing like what Vincent was saying. Is like, no, my priority right now is it's my time, right? Like that's what's fulfillment looking like for him at that point. Same thing with me, right? It's like I never had a goal to be a VP or a president of anybody else's company. Right, like to be honest, I don't even want to run my own company. Right, I like to invest, build, create, and go about my day and do it all over again. Right, like that's what I care about. Right, so from a fulfillment standpoint, something you had said made me think about. No one ever tells you what I didn't know from that was going to be a challenge to me is what I was going to do like post, like college. Right, like it was the space of. They give you a blueprint, right, for like your early life, right? Go to college, get good grades, get a good job. That hasn't hasn't necessarily proven out for everybody, but in general, right, it's a foundation knowledge. I did that. That's exactly what I did. I went to college, got good grades, networked a little bit. I figured out all the in-between things I needed to do to secure the job. I'm there now. No one's telling you how to make $100 million. It was a blueprint, right, to get into this corporate space, right? No one, like what Vincent said, no one tells you, or I wasn't taught early on, even in college, right? How do you 10x your money, right? Like they even teach you credit, but no one teaches you like the details of like what does leveraging credit and debt really looks like, right? Or what's that path? So you read a bunch of different books and things like that, right? And that's the space I'm in right now, right? I'm trying a whole bunch of small things, or right, I'm putting money here, putting money there, building this relationship over there, building this relationship over here, right? Trying to figure out what's going to be my roadmap to that $1 billion, right? And that's the challenge that like there's not a real blueprint for, right, or map out, and that's the space that I'm more so in right now.
Gotcha. I did want to ask, because both of you seem very connected to the community, and I just want to ask, do you feel accepted in the Black community and celebrated in the Black community, doing your thing? And sometimes it could be because you're working in corporate America, or you're not following what they think is the cool path. Do you feel accepted and celebrated in the Black community?
I feel like I do. I've had situations where I didn't necessarily feel accepted. I got to give you an example of that. So, almost a year and a half ago, I worked for a company that we all know called Old Spice. They opened their first ever barbershop here in Columbus, Ohio, on the Ohio State campus, and it was kind of sold to me as a great opportunity, which is it's a corporate job, so things are going to be different. But so I go into this situation, and when I get there, all the management are, they don't look like me, and then there's 3 other stylists and barbers that do look like me, and I kind of caught a lot of backlash from my clientele and my clients and people that were around me that were also in the industry for signing up to go work with them, and that's kind of like, it kind of made me feel like, dang, y'all don't accept me even though I'm trying to go do this. I'm trying to put this on over here, you know what I mean? And they kind of like looked at me like, man, why would you go do that? You know what I mean? Especially right after COVID and a lot of small businesses closed, and then you got this corporate giant coming, trying to kind of scoop up all the clientele into one area. You know what I mean? I kind of understood where they were coming from. And I would say the flip side of that would be a situation like now, or when I had my own spot. I felt a lot of the people around me were proud of me, like, oh, you doing your thing, you doing this, you doing that. So I definitely felt accepted by my community in that way, especially with the other things that we do. In the community, people recognize you and they say, hey, I remember you this. Or just a couple of days ago, we were on the news with the barbershop, the cops and barbers thing. I got people get phone calls, hey, I see you on the news, things like that. So that definitely makes me feel accepted. But I've definitely felt both sides of that, and I'm glad I experienced that, because kind of now I know better how to move within that situation. If I do want to take another corporate job, I know it's things that they got to meet me to feel comfortable to even take the position.
Right.
Right. That sounds tough, brother.
It all worked out.
So, on my side of it, I never had a challenge like necessarily like feeling accepted. I was always a cool kid, like I was always cool, popular, whatnot. That was never a challenge like growing up. I think the biggest challenge now is as an adult being heard, right? Influencing other adults, right? It's like, that's tough, right? We accept you in part of our community, Leon. Yes, you're a brother, you're a son, right? You're an uncle, right? You're a friend. All of that's good, right? But far as me being able to say, okay, let me teach you, other adults, something new, or let me show you what I've learned, so it can help do, those type of things, or let me introduce you to some people that's a little bit different from you, but they have similar interests as you, and I can help you, right? Like those type of things have been challenging, right? Influencing people in the community, it's tough, right? Especially people that, yes, we're friends, you're good, right? Like, but you end up getting into like these raps of, man, that's for you though, bro. That was just for you. You always been good, right? Like you always been smart, right? Those type of, that's not for me, right? And it's just like, that's tough, that part of it. So it's not like you're not accepting your community. It's the uplifting and empowering your community, especially adults. With youth, right? Like it's challenges there as well, because you got to try to, how do I relate to this young brother or this young sister, right? And like pour into them and help them navigate these spaces. Like, how do I make something click in their heads, right? Those has been like a lot of challenges as well. Like they all might admire you, right? Oh man, it's Leon. Like, you know, like he's good. That's such and such brother, or, you know, like, you know, whatever, right? Like you good there, they'll hear you, but how do you get them to make a change? Right? That's the real challenge in the community, like getting people to do things differently. Right? That's tough.
Okay, thank you. I think we're kind of close to wrapping up here. I'm very insightful and helpful for me. I'm glad. I'm so thankful to be a part of this. Thank you, Courtney. I will ask though, as we close out, if each of you could just leave us with a piece of wisdom or some advice that you can share, because to that next group of young black men that are pursuing excellence.
You know, believe in yourself. Like, believe in yourself again. Build a community around yourself. You know, like everybody that you grew up with and everything, like they all can still be your friends. I don't believe in the whole idea of you gotta detach yourself away from people you grew up with, anything like that. I believe in expansion. You know, those groups of friends might not relate with where you're going. You need to expand yourself out to get in close proximity with people that's going in the direction you're going. So expand yourself, expand your friend groups, and that's how you're gonna excel yourself. That whole close-knit thing, I don't believe in that. I believe in growing your network, growing relationships, building those. So do that. Like, believe in yourself, expand your friend group, think bigger, and like Vincent said, take those risks, jump in it, do it. You're capable. You're more than capable.
Right on. I like it.